And welcome back to yet another episode of the South Star Classroom. I am Charles Cole. That's David. That's Jube. And that's Omar. We hope you all have had a great week. I want to start off. We've lost a lot of people over the last few days. Death comes in threes. I love The Godfather, the dopest consigliere of all time, Robert Duvall, R.I.P., the only non-Italian to have that much weight in the Italian crime family, but just an incredible actor. And then Reverend Jesse Jackson also passed away earlier today or late last night. But as I go through and we do check-ins, I just wanted to start off. I know I left some people out, so Omar, you were naming them. I'll go to you for your check-in, and you can fill in any gaps. David, you're on deck.
Yeah, no, man. We lost Robert Duvall. We lost Jesse Jackson. And previously, and I'm blanking, man, damn. Well, all I can think about is Prince and Michael Jackson, all the shit that I've been reading recently. No, we lost someone else recently, man. And like, it was before this wave of three. But I'll do a quick look up, man, because I completely just blanked right now as you told me.
It's all good. No worries. No worries at all. How you doing? Well, how are you doing, brother? We ain't, how you been?
Man, tired. Good ass shit, but tired. I feel like, did anyone else, like, I'd love to hear from our audience, man. I was just having this conversation the other day. Like, did anyone else have a shit 2025? Still kind of recovering. Yeah. Like, 2025 was a fucking awful,
year.
awful year. And I'm just kind of wondering, because this has been kind of the reoccurring theme amongst me and my friends. Like, damn, like this was a really difficult year. And what are we kind of building up for? So I'm kind of interested to hear what our audience has to say. Oh shit, it just came to me, man. Dawson died, and Catherine O'Hare,
yeah, that's right. I did a
who was part of the original Toronto Second City.
Yeah,
people know her from the mom from Beetlejuice and from Home Alone. But man, brilliant improvisational actor, brilliant. And she was part of that like incredible crew that came out of the Canadian Second City when they opened that up. And all those players went on to do, I always forget the director's name, but all those fantastic mockumentaries like This Is Spinal Tap, Best in Show, like song, not a Wind That Blows. Yeah.
What was the one, Strange Brew, the beer one?
That was, Mick Moranis. Was she in that one?
I don't know, but I know it's those Canadian people. Yeah.
That was Rick Moranis.
They're like the Chicago Second City. Like they just got their crew of people, and they just
I mean, they truly are.
It's just because her and the guy from Schitt's Creek have been working together since they were kids, apparently. So
yeah, there was a ton of cats. John Candy came out of that crew. Like there was a ton of cats that came out of Second City Toronto. And that was because Second City Chicago was so popular. Right. I mean, shit, dude, who didn't come out of Second City Chicago?
Right. And I live here, and I've never gone to a show. I need to go to one. I know they start doing stuff. I never gone to one. You know what I do? The improv I go to here, they have drunken Shakespeare. So I've done that a few times. It's like it's like $15, $20, but it's really cool. It's like, and they are loaded though. They get loaded and
that's awesome. Yeah, that's the only way to like do it now, dude. Like, come on, man. Like,
it's incredible. They're very talented. They are very talented. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw one of them on SNL or one of those sketch comedy shows at some point.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. SNL constantly recruits from groundlings. Yeah. Amy Poehler was what was that? Amy Poehler was Upright Citizens. Upright Citizens
Brigade.
Yeah,
and then you got and that's
Groundlings,
UCB, so
Second City, and then SCTV, yeah, man, the entirety of like Canada.
Yeah, man, it's really interesting. And BYU has one too for the Mormon people. It's actually kind of funny. They're actually kind of funny. They have one of the funniest sports things of all time. It's called The Man, the Myth, the Legend.
The Mormons?
BYU TV.
Yeah,
they have their own.
I want to see it.
I will send it. It's actually got really huge. I don't know if all the people are Mormon. It's like, how like basketball players and football players go there, but they got a good thing. But how you doing, David? How you been?
I'm good. You got me thinking about this, about Second City. I forget, it was a conference or some kind of a retreat I went on. Must have been with maybe some philanthropic people, because it was not cheap. But they brought in this group of writers and comedians from Second City to do like a community building, kind of skill building improv like session with us, just to have fun. It was hilarious. Yeah.
That's
great.
Super cool. Really?
Yeah, it's a neat idea. Yeah, we got together in teams and we did the whole thing. Yeah, it was awesome.
I love it, man. I love it. I think that's super dope.
Yeah, obviously, lots of people have been passing away. I mean, not even famous people, but people in like my age range are just like dropping like flies, man. I'm like, okay, I gotta keep the heart pumping. And so there's that. Got a new client, start March 1. So got some local San Diego activity, which is great.
Well, you got free labor in me if you need it, David.
Oh, it's great, man. I mean, I'm doing some
I'm poor, man. I got cheap labor over here. I'll help you out. But
I was gonna say, I just
for like tacos and a beer. Tacos and a beer, baby. I'm cheap.
Yeah,
I'm trying to sell my shit. Hold on, man. I'm doing some senior program officer work as well as some executive coaching. So there you go. Boom.
And where can they reach you if people are interested? What are all the things that you do that people can consult with you?
My LinkedIn is the number one thing. So find me on LinkedIn or my email address is. I got to get a professional.
Catch me outside,
I guess at some point. Yeah. But we'll talk about that later. Did you all see? You can take me out full screen. Did you all see this? This show that it was like something that was broadcast on Chinese television. It's an annual show they do. I forget what it's called. But last year they had these robots that were on stage, kind of throwing around like handkerchiefs and dancing and walking around.
Okay.
In 1 year,
I've seen something like this on Instagram.
Now these robots are doing straight up like kung fu, flipping, kicking. It's totally insane. So,
yeah, man. I mean, dude, come on, man. Everyone knows what's going to happen. Everyone is thinking the exact same thing. What are you talking about, man? Like, this is the inevitability. We could do a whole show on this. It's not just going to be that, like, literally robots and AI start coming into like the everyday life, like the Jetsons and shit. It is the merging of bio with tech, man. Like every human being is going to be biotech.
Right.
Homo sapiens are done, man. Like, I don't know how long Homo sapiens have left.
Wow.
The merging between the two is an inevitability. In, I'd say, I don't know, 100 years, we'll probably see the extinction of Homo sapiens as we know it.
Yeah. Anyways, I saw that. I think it's definitely good topic for a future show. I've been watching the Olympics. It's kind of nice to get away from politics and just watch some international sport, Yeah, for sure. I love the Winter Olympics. I didn't even know what was happening.
I started watching at the very beginning, and they were hyping up this male figure skater from the United States, along with all of our downhill skiers, particularly that, like, is it Lindsey Vonn?
Vonn, yeah.
Yeah, that was like super, super duper celebrated. She got like crazily injured. What happened to our male figure skater guy? I was just reading that he
Charles.
Yeah, but I was gonna say about to Lindsay though. I knew it just wasn't. You can't, if it's an ace. I've had that. You can't, not that fast. It's like, and they try to say it's not related. Somebody was afraid to tell her no. You can't do that, and you ripping up a whole bunch of other shit. I mean, she's so talented.
Other athletes didn't get a chance to participate. Right. And compete, and now look at her. But anyways, that's another show too.
And I mean, listen, you have to sometimes save the athlete from themselves, right? Like she did.
Yeah.
You want to play, you're gonna do it, but like, because and David, I appreciate you, because immediately when I saw that, I was like, how? Somebody tell me the mystery drug. I couldn't walk for 6 months. Like I had to like learn how to walk. Like a week. No. You got some super steroids.
Oh
like gosh. Those steroids. Incredible.
I'm watching an old it must be an SNL skit with what's his name? The big dude.
I was gonna say, is it Eddie Murphy?
Chris Farley?
No, the guy who died. The guy who died. What's his name?
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley and somebody else, and they're doing an ice skating routine. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, where he kept falling like left and right, like it was the world's worst ice skating. I've seen that one, dude.
He got his stomach out, like, man.
Oh, listen, it's amazing.
R.I.P. Farley, man.
Although I gotta tell you, man, it was Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze, rest in power, in the Chippendale skit. That was arguably that's one of the most prolific.
Omar, you're leaving somebody out though. You're leaving out is Farley, is Swayze, and is 8 Balls. It's 8 Balls. That's what it was. It was cocaine. Was it? It was all of that. It's cocaine. It's all cocaine. I was watching the thing with Scorsese. Now that Robert Duvall and all this stuff, and they showed some clips of Scorsese talking about The Godfather. But Marty didn't do The Godfather. But Marty was just like, I don't know how they got through it because it was just so much cocaine on that set. Like, so the 70s and 80s, man.
Yeah, man,
they're crazy.
Wild,
they're crazy.
Wild time.
The last thing I have is I just before we get into the topic and other check-ins, when I was running just now, I was listening to I don't listen to Joe Rogan anymore because he just kind of goes off on his own thing. But Donnell Rollins was on his show last couple days, and I think Donnell Rollins is hilarious, and it's a very good. It's just like I appreciate Joe Rogan, just like talk about comedy. You don't have to be the know-it-all of everything in the world and talk about politics.
Well, he more famous.
And they just had a very good
other shit than comedy.
It was hilarious, man. These guys are hilarious together. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Jew, we stretched. You're back. You look great. You look refreshed. The damn dog is in the frame. We say what's up to the dog. I don't know what's going on with the hair.
What's up, dog?
But how you doing, Jude?
I'm good. I'm a little exhausted. Did a very, very unexpected last-minute trip to LA. Got back yesterday.
To LA. Okay, that was across the country.
To live and die in LA.
And you went when they had terrible weather. It's been raining crazy out there. So
it was actually beautiful. It kept saying that, but whatever happened, because I was praying, I think God answered my prayer. But the rain, it just didn't rain. And so
surprise trip to LA around Valentine's Day.
Oh shit! Come on, man. Why are you calling her out like that, man? God dang, man, we all knew it, but
I hope you had an incredible.
You definitely blew up that spot.
This is actually good news, but no, I had a solo Valentine's Day, but because I was in LA, it was wonderful because I saw a little Kim in concert, Busta Rhymes and Split, and Vogue, and freaking Vogue.
Wow,
they are amazing to me. I've loved them since I was a kid. Ashanti, Fabulous, Nelly, who I never saw perform live before. Was it Spinderella or Yo-Yo? One of them. Yo-Yo. Anyway, it was incredible. It was a DJ Cassidy concert. Very, very well done.
I love these legacy shows now. It's just it makes me feel old. But it makes me feel old because these are my people. And they're not that much older than me.
Yeah, I felt great walking in because I know if it was I don't even know who the people listen to now, you would have seen a different crowd. But it was nice to see people walking slower. Some of them maybe had walkers. More people had on sneakers because I put on heels and I was like, oh my God, I should have worn my sneakers. But anyway, it was amazing for $135. I mean,
that's great.
Incredible.
Nice.
It was last week because my son got an opportunity to do some sports journalism with the organization called Grind Session. They partner with the National Basketball Players Association, which is the union for the NBA, to put on, I guess they call it Grind Session LA. So it's it's an elite basketball circuit for high school ballers. And it's an opportunity for them to strengthen their skills, ball against each other. Scouts come, NBA managers. Some of them already have NIL deals. And so my son, Sydney, who's been on this show a week ago, walks up to a dude like, hey, can I get a chance? And the guy's like, are you ready? And he's like, yeah. So he gives him the headphones. And Sydney starts to do play-by-plays for the basketball game. He's like, who's this kid? Who's your mom? And it turns out that they were in LA and it's like, we'd love for you to come, join us so you can see how we do things. And so that's why I went to LA. Maybe
Nice.
next year it'll be because I have a fiance.
Oh, now you just made it sad. See, it was good. Maybe next year somebody will love me.
Maybe. Because people like, Dave, you were so good. You went out. I made friends at the bar.
You took it there, not me.
Hey, Dave, I'm usually the one that has to rib you, but this was you, baby. It was David this time. I love it.
Maybe let's get into the topic. Yeah.
David's like, get the attention off of me. And also RIP to James Vanderbeek, Dawson's Creek. Listen, those characters were they were in the same grade as me when I was in high school. I love that show. Yeah. I mean, not obviously they was 10 years. I don't want to wait. But I know, but this might be the saddest one because it was preventable, because this cancer got super aggressive. And when you hear somebody like James Vanderbeek is struggling, he sold a lot of his stuff. It's just really sad, man. Between Varsity Blues and Dawson's Creek, I wouldn't think that he wouldn't be able to cover medical fees. So F cancer, man. We got our own survivor here. So, that would hit me as far as I love Dawson's Creek, man. So,
man, that's news to me. I didn't know that you watched The Creek.
I loved it, man.
I never watched it.
My two of my favorite shows is shows that people will never guess. Dawson's Creek because of the age thing and me watching it, and because I spent so much time growing up with my grandmother. Golden Girls. Golden Girls is my number one favorite show.
Golden Girls.
Love the Golden Girls, man. Good show.
I know every episode of Golden Girls. I love Golden Girls.
Thank you for being my friend.
Yes. Thank my grandmother for making me her girlfriend to have to watch. I couldn't do General Hospital and stuff. It was just too much, but I could do Mama's Family and Golden Girl. I could do the sitcoms. I couldn't do the other joint. But let me hop into this though, because I was thinking of, David and I are really tied to this personally and emotionally. So it may come through, it may not. But this cycle continues to happen. And so let me just get into it. We're about to talk about the one thing schools can't teach without, which is stability. And in the Bay Area, Oakland and San Francisco are back in their familiar tension. They're striking. The threats of strikes, budget pressure, contract fights, and adults are arguing about what's fair and what's possible and who's to blame. And people have strong feelings about all of that. I want to stay with the kids. I am not about to go into all the adult issues. We can have that show. But whatever your politics are, on whatever side you on, students are continuing to experience this in like the same way. Their schooling keeps getting interrupted, and they keep getting dragged in the middle of this stuff, but they tend to not get anything out of it. The adults are stressed, these routines break. So my frame for tonight is, if we actually are centering students and learning, what would you say when districts or schools are constantly in strike mode? Like, that is the only way. Like, they don't even negotiate no more. They just be like, you don't give us what we want, we striking. Like, almost every year, if you're an Oakland student, you are hearing something about a strike. And I just wanted to ask you guys, and I wanted to just, before you came on, David, we were talking, and I was just kind of singing your praises. And I was talking about how the union tried to come after us when we were running our organization and around that election time. And I said, you and I may be the first people in Oakland history to make the union take something down and almost apologize. So my question is starting with you, Dave. Like, what's your take on this stuff, man? And just when you hear this and you hear about another strike yet again, what is the impact on students and learning when they just always go straight to strikes, especially as frequently as Oakland does?
Yeah, or San Francisco, right? Because
San Francisco threatens a lot, but I think this is their first time actually striking in a long time.
Yep. I mean, I think it's hard to separate like the student issue from the adult issue, because the behaviors of adults directly impact the experience that students have. And so, and I'm not just talking about the teachers union. I'm talking about like district management. My biggest issue here is like, you have, and I've always said this, I believe in the power of unions. The jury is still, not fully convinced that public sector unions have a place in society. But if you're going up against a big corporate, multinational corporation, for sure, because they will exploit you. I think if you are operating under the assumption that your own government and your own elected officials are going to exploit you, in that kind of way, I think we have much bigger problems. And so my issue is that, especially thinking particularly about California and California laws, like the way that these negotiations happen, they happen in the dark. Nobody really knows. So one side says one thing, the other side said something else. Like they didn't show up. Oh, well, they didn't show up, or we were waiting for them. You get no information, and then you're right. All of a sudden, they shut schools down for a week, and this is the last thing I'll say for now. But I think in a time of declining enrollment, especially in the Bay Area, like the last thing that schools should be doing is shutting down. Because if you really want to piss off parents, talking about parents of that have young kids in school, they have to take off work now, right? We are not living in a thriving economy. People are struggling, and you shut schools down. That takes money out of people's pockets. That takes food out of children's mouths. And so, I mean, I'm not even talking about like education and like literacy and mathematics. I'm talking about like basic survival for low-income families in Oakland and San Francisco. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. Again, and we can go into this in a lot of deep ways, but before I give my answer, I do want to hear from Jube and Omar. And Jube, just again, I'm not dismissing those adults. I'm not dismissing those teachers. I didn't even go into what the things were that they were fighting for on this one, right? Because I really just want to focus on these young people.
It's more staffing and more money.
Right. It's always at. They actually in Oakland wants 12%. And Oakland wants 12%.
How many is enough? How much is enough? Right.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, we can parse through and go through that, but like I really am just trying to center these young people. If you're a parent and you live in a place and it's like every year there's either the threat of a strike, an actual strike, or is always looming, and the schools are not really performing well for your child. I mean, how do you process that? I'm just curious from you,
Yeah, I think you get a generation of dropouts. You have a loss of momentum that becomes so pervasive that you don't even have kids that come to school anymore. And the waging war that we have where children are like, I can learn that on TikTok. I can learn that on YouTube. I don't need school. I don't need to go to college. I don't need to train for this and that. That becomes truer and truer, right? Because the adults that are responsible for ensuring that we have a system that works for us, for all stakeholders, it doesn't work. And so that's what naturally happens as a society, right? Or as a people, when something don't work, that's supposed to, you find ways around it. And you no longer factor that thing in to the way that you do life,
Yeah.
And so I think it sends a really damaging message that the adults can't, figure it out, even for our sake. And then survival kicks in. I got to be able to eat. I got to be able to make money. And maybe this version of school is not going to help me get there because they can't even come to consensus on one decision that's impacting all of our learning experiences. So.
And sorry, Jube, I know you asked. I didn't see your note about the question. It's on. They got a timer now. The timer, they have an automatic timer on it now, so I have to take it off at the 60 seconds. But I appreciate that, Jube, and I wanted to go to you because you just one of the more empathetic people. David and Omar are pretty empathetic too, but you kind of you're the lady of you're the nice person of the show that cares about everybody. But what about when that empathy, like? You could try to empathize with everybody on this one, but somebody's getting the lower end of the stick here. And I'm just like, every year, man, it's every year. They just hold these people hostage. Oh, you've been an administrator for a long time. You have your own disputes. You've dealt with this. What do you think is the impact on students and learning when there's always this type of threat looming?
So there's two things I want to share with the audience. And you all may or may not know this. First, at least in the state of Texas, and I would assume it'd probably be the same in California, if kids don't show up to school, you don't get money. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know this. I'm just kind of jumping ahead into the conversation because I'll answer your question. But if those in the audience, the way public schools get money is that they have to send coded information to the state or the district essentially every day. And then all of that gets accumulated into several reports. If you, let's say, have 100 kids at your school, just for the sake of conversation, but only 50 of them show up attendance-wise, you don't get paid for the other 50 kids. You only get paid for the 50 kids that show up. So that's a foreshadowing for the future of this conversation. I get that teachers are upset. I get that they are under extraordinary stress right now, and that circumstances, I think, have to radically change around education, because we've had a couple shows about the future of education, and the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm making ludicrous strides in my own organization about what schooling is going to look like. And wait for it, but like 3 years from now, EPLA and its entire curricular structure is going to be radically different than any school, arguably, in the country, next to a few that we're partnering with. And I'm just going to leave it at that. This is a cataclysmic situation for kids, because kids rely so much, not just on the consistency of those adults being in there. They have like major abandonment issues. Low-income kids have extreme abandonment issues, man. And it's like Goodwill Hunting all over again. And when they feel that the people that they care about aren't being treated well or are gone, they begin to think, well, what's the point anymore? Why should I do any of this? And when some no-name long-term sub or person comes in, is carrying an estoppel as they may be, they haven't developed these relationships over several weeks, several months, several years that these other teachers have. And while my empathy goes out to these teachers, because I honestly think that, like, dude, especially in Oakland and San Francisco, Jesus, dude. Like, again, I point out to this really great article NPR wrote years ago about how the hell is San Francisco going to have the service folks, police, fire, teachers, and all of the like nurses and all these like critical people to a community actually live in that community. And they were talking about people commuting like 2 hours, like each way a day, because they couldn't afford to live in those communities. So while my empathy goes out to them, the greatest thing that's going to happen is that children are going to be like cataclysmically destroyed in their consistency, in their relationships, in the social component. They'll go through abandonment, and that abandonment crisis will then just be like, oh, we're over it. And that's it. Because kids don't give a fuck other than that great relationship that they've built with those teachers. Now, those high income students ain't got to worry about shit, especially in San Francisco and Oakland, because they're all at very fancy private schools, right? Therein lies the secret and this truth.
Hey, man,
I mean, it's going to be cataclysmic for our people, man, especially Black and brown people, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? And I think listen, I'm gonna move to the second question, right? Because, you know, I think we can go a little deeper there, but I think the points that you all made are just very, very strong. And it bothers me. Part of this, and Toya just pointed out, she said that her city is about to close 20 schools. And David and I could probably do a whole session on this. The reason why places have to close down multiple schools or do it in those waves, a lot of this has to do with small school movements, but there's this thing called structural deficits. And a structural deficit is different than just needing an infusion of cash. So what'll happen is, let's just keep the numbers very round. Let's say the district has a budget of $100 million. They should have, well, let's just say that your inherent cost is $140 million. Each year, you ask for more things and you want more things. You should get some of these things, but you can't keep all these schools in these schools. You can't, if a building is supposed to hold 1,000 people, you can't keep operating those schools at 200 and 300 people. And so that's where therein lies the problem. So you might get this infusion of cash. And then when your district says, or your union says, well, like Oakland wants a 12% raise over 3 years. You already in structural crisis and you already are asking for these other things. Oh, and by the way, they also asked for things. San Francisco, I think they're asking for housing. David's been around when they tried to sneak in housing into the contract, and they tend to get it in these cities. So it bothers me, but and I think it doesn't really help these kids. The reason why I think it's insidious as I go into number 2 is because, and this is what leads into my answer for number 2. What's insidious is that this is when some of the best teaching happens, and it's not on the subject. It's about why these people are striking. I've worked with students in the midst of strikes, and they said, I never felt so loved. I never felt so cared for. I never had a teacher engage with me as much as when they were talking about why they're striking. And I love striking for my teacher, and I love going out and walking. And then the decisions come down and all that stuff happens, and they see that all these things that you convince this 14-year-old, this classroom full of 14-year-olds that you cannot teach without, and then they see you negotiate a deal, they feel betrayed because they're like, you said you couldn't do this without this. I've seen it happen. And so this leads me to my second question, and this is my little rant. And I'll be quiet after this, I promise you. But I think when you talk about the system and we talk about what we can control and what we cannot control, what happens if students and families decide to strike? And Omar was leaning into this when Omar said schools cannot get money if there's nobody in the building. That's just not how that works. Families and parents, you all have so much more power than you think, because if you're like, look, our kids can't read, this is happening, that's happening, the whole school is going to stay out for 20-day count unless you do these things. What would happen? But like, we have power, but what good is a bottle of water in your backpack if you're in the desert and you don't know it's there? You will die of thirst if you don't open up that bag, grab that water and drink it. There's water in your backpack. You in the desert. You've been in the desert. We've been in this desert for 20 years because Oakland has been threatening to strike nonstop since I've been a student. So I just wanted to ask you all, Jube, let's start with you. What do you think happens to the system if there was a real coordinated family strike across a city, a country, or whatever? What could change?
One, I think they would start paying attention. And, this is always my gripe with systems and organizations, because I think oftentimes they forget who the main stakeholder. There are many stakeholders, right? But this is for children. This is for adolescents, teens, young adults, right? We're talking about our K-12 babies and our future. And I think these systems, of course, they're designed to get the results they get, which aren't good. And most of the time it is because they forget who they are supposed to be designed to serve. Mm-hmm. And to me, it still perpetuates the very thing that we're saying education helps you get away from, which is being subjugated, being oppressed, right? But the system is still oppressing. It's still, because the voice of the main constituent is still not heard. And so I think students and families striking kind of shifts that power dynamic to say, no, y'all people is up in here. Y'all get paid because we're here. And so if you're not doing right by us, forget all of that in the secret stuff that David was talking about, y'all meeting behind closed doors and we don't know, and the structural deficit that you refuse to address, and they pump you in with cash and that helps for a year, then you're back. Forget all that. We ain't coming up in here. I think then they'd be like, oh, snap. Maybe because the people who it's impacting the most are utilizing their voice to say, we're not accepting it. And then I was doing a little just reading around like, well, what do we have rights to, right? Like, okay, and there's no federal law that says that you got to get an education. But there are some state laws that say you have a right to free public access to education or something like that. So maybe that's the inroad, right? Like, we have a right to this. Now, maybe it's not in the Constitution, but on a state level, we have a right to this. So y'all go ahead and walk out, but we are going to be connected to and activating our rights under state law that y'all supposed to be giving us an education, you know? So I actually would love to see it. And I think it might be one of the only things that would help school districts like this to wake up and pay attention.
Yeah. So I think what you're referring to, they talk about it. I think the term is like compulsory education, but what they really mean is compulsory, like attendance. But
say more, David. Can you educate us on
expand upon that so that makes sense.
So I mean, I think, you know, federal and state statutes, like if you don't take your kid to school, if they're absent for X number of days without, you know, the appropriate, like, whatever rationale, like they'll come for you, right? They'll send you letters. They can threaten legal action.
Come for you. What does that mean?
Go to jail.
Threaten your kid, to threaten to get your kid in that seat because that's money to them. So I do think there's definitely power that students and parents have. We were talking about a couple of districts in California, but also San Francisco, Oakland, also activity in LA, one of the biggest districts in the country, and San Diego, all threatening at different times in the last.
In Chicago, always too. We're always perpetually threatening here in Chicago.
But you know, California is one of the strongest states for organized labor and collective bargaining, right? Like I think in Texas, it's like illegal to strike. You can't strike, right? That's my understanding. I don't know. Maybe it's a gray area there.
It is. It's a gray area for sure, man. It's a right to work state.
So there's something else that's happening in California, and I forgot about this, but I just remembered. In 2010, under the leadership of our former governor, the Terminator, they passed what's called a parent trigger law. So I think I'm getting to like what Julie was talking about. These laws are still on the books, right? They are still on the books. And so in California, under the parent trigger law, parents can organize. And if you can get 50.01 or 51% of parents to sign off, you can request a conversion to a charter. You can request a school transformation, which means like we're getting rid of the administration. You can request a turnaround, which means replacing up to 50% of the staff. And parents can also request that a school gets closed down, like self-closure, right? Those laws are still on the books in California. Hasn't been used that many times, but in Oakland, many of the charters that currently exist were created under kind of that parent trigger law, which is now taking me back to like early history. But I mean, there's a legal mechanism in California, I think, to do exactly what Charles is talking about. Maybe less about like just striking and keeping your kids home, but like opting in to a movement or a campaign to force the system to do something different.
Yeah, man. Look, I want you to go because I'm going to cosplay Omar Yanar when it's my turn. Because there definitely is a rant coming, and we still get out here
man.
on time.
I love a good ass rant, man. I'll be quick and just simply say that, as I alluded to earlier,
you ain't got to be quick. You can take your time. You good, brother.
All the money that comes into a school is predicated on attendance.
Yep.
Right. So teachers and everyone else can strike and adults can argue. But if you put kids in a situation where they're out 10 days, 20 days, in a coordinated strike, you don't get any money for those days that they were not there. None of it. And that is going to absolutely destroy the ability for anyone to get paid, including the superintendent, including everyone in those administrative offices. The kids realize that they have the power, but despite the fact that like if you got 5 kids that are constantly gone, well then, yeah, like the court system and everyone else can hold up the paperwork and bureaucracy to deal with that. You got 5,000 kids gone. Good fucking luck trying to deal with that shit, man. You got the governor will be on the phone in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think that's what it's going to take. Doc, it's all you, man. Hit that shit.
Because it, I think the beauty of this show is you do have 4 relative experts on this stuff and what it is that they do. And we can give you the technical answers of why or what's going on, and opinion from there. But I want to appeal more to the ethos of the people listening and the impact that this stuff has, because these districts have a lot of power. And I'm going to use my own life. My mother, I went to 11 elementary schools. My parents were on drugs until they weren't. God bless them. They're doing great now. And it's a beautiful testimony. And those people are more in love now than ever. They have a beautiful, beautiful love story since it's the Valentine's Day season. But I remember coming downstairs. We were doing better. We're in high school, in Berkeley High School. Y'all have heard us mention Berkeley High a few times. The people at my church that were prominent, they all had their kids go to Berkeley High. It's designed by UC Berkeley. It's like right there. It's a beautiful campus. If you know how to navigate, Berkeley High can almost be like a university experience.
Yep. Hell yeah.
It really can. And so my mother went through the proper channels because she's a good Christian woman. She's a good Baptist Christian woman. And she applied for what's called an inter-district transfer. And she said, I want my son to have the best opportunity to have the best education. This is the hardship that we went through, and this is what I want to be able to give him. And they not only did they deny my mother, when my mother was letting them know about her past and my father's past, and that there was jail and things like that, they were very clear when I got rejected for the intra-district transfer, and the inter-district transfer, excuse me, and that if she got caught trying to use another location, trying to use another address, it is stealing education, and they would enforce the law to the fullest extent and send her back to jail. I come downstairs. My mother doesn't see me. I don't think she knows this to this day. I see her at the kitchen table. She's just crying. I heard the conversation. So I leave. And then, I had basketball practice or something. I came back and I put it on, man. I was like, hey, Mom, I want to go here. I want to go to Emory. It's across the street. I don't want to go to Berkeley. I don't like none of those people. My mother was prepared. She was crying at the table because she was about to do what she needed to do and take that risk so I can go to that school. A school district shouldn't have that type of power over people. And there is power that you have as a parent, as a student, or whatever. If you do not show up, and you can punish 1, you can punish 2, you can punish 10. But if there is a coordinated strike effort, they can't do it to all of you. And systems should not have families that are actually trying to do right by the boss like that. Fast forward to what we're talking about now. If you got to strike every 10 years and, man, you got to get your paper. That's the game. We get it. Every year is ridiculous, man. And then you look at what they're asking for at times. And listen, I'm not going at teachers. Teachers, let me be very clear. Good teachers, especially. You deserve livable wages. You deserve to be able to live and be able to have rent paid and homes and be able to have a life because you are teaching and educating the next generation. What is not promised to you is housing. How dare you all stipulate that you will not return to teaching if housing isn't provided when you're teaching homeless children?
That's wild, dude. That's wild.
It is the reason that I am as passionate about this work as I am. It is the reason why we were attacked. David and I were attacked personally by those same unions. It is the reason, and it's the reason that they ain't never ran into 2 knuckleheads like us who was down for whatever. It was it was white people trying to say David and Charles were racist against black and brown kids. And this is the most lily white person. They took that shit down so fast. David, shout out to you.
Telling people like us, like one of our conditions for our union demands is to end white supremacy. Okay. All right. How do we do that?
Right. Do you do that by when black and brown kids from the charter school have to visit your traditional school that's only 20% occupied, and you send adults to heckle children?
Wow.
David, am I exaggerating?
Crazy shit going on.
No, you're not exaggerating.
David, am I
crazy
exaggerating?
shit.
Yeah, we've been through all that. Yeah,
they booed children. They made their children boo children. And there was a teacher there that was hugging those other kids that were booing and telling them that they love them and they're doing the right thing. You got me all the way fucked up. So I'm saying this, and I'm saying this to say, if you listen, do what you got to do. If you got to strike, listen, I understand business. I'm not a child. I understand how this goes. Is anybody, and y'all use children and you use families as your crutch every single time. You say you're doing it for them. Well, can you do your lesson plans for them? Can you have a school that is clean for them? Can you ensure their safety? Can you make sure that you know your own material so you can actually lesson plan and educate these children? Can you not hide behind data and blame everything else? And stop taking credit when one of those kids goes to college, but the rest fail. That one kid is because of you. The rest of those kids is the system. Fuck you. And I mean that. And I mean
hell yeah.
So that's the end of my rant. I think children and families should consider striking. I think if you're a good teacher in this, I think that you deserve to advocate for what you need, but just take a look around though. And when something don't sound right, maybe it's not. And you can't be the same people that say, well, there's no good cops. If you're the good cop and you watching the bad cops and you don't say nothing, don't that make you a bad cop? Well, guess what? If there's the good teachers and the bad teachers, and the good teachers are watching the bad teachers and you don't say nothing, by that same logic, ran over. We can start moving into final thoughts. I just had to get that off my chest. I did the whole show just to have that 5 minutes. That's it. Very selfish. Very selfish show. Very selfish show. And my apologies. But Jubilee, I want you to have right of refusal for final.
I don't know, man. Shit, I learned a lot. Like I was just like, oh shit, this is all going down in Oakland and San Francisco
all the time, bro. It happens so much. It's so much. If you just read the articles, it's the most pretentious level.
Crazy,
I was trying to find articles to send you, and it's so pretentious. I was like, if I had children, you would never see them ever. And then I think of Huey P. Newton. I went to Lafayette Elementary where Huey P. Newton went. My brother and sister went to Santa Fe. That's another school Huey P. Newton went. And in the beginning of his most seminal book, Revolutionary Suicide, it ain't even in a chapter. It's like in his own thing where he says, my children will never attend the Oakland public schools.
Wow.
And they built their own schools. That's freedom. I'm gonna stop there. I told you, I'm very emotionally, because I pride myself on being able to be business and like knock out stuff and like, yo, we got to do this. Yo, we need to, hey, we argue. This one, it touches me because I remember that lady, my mother, just sobbing. Like, that's what you like say. Those tears deserve to be for something different. That should be for your mother dying. That should be for somebody getting married. That should be for, we find out somebody struggling with something. It shouldn't be because you're trying to simply educate your child and they don't have the means to move to Walnut Creek. They don't have the means to put them in one of the best private schools. Oh, by the way, Oakland has some of the best private schools in the country. People drive from Marin to send their kids.
And they've got some great public schools too. But you have to know how to navigate the system to get your kid in there. Which I did, of course.
Absolutely. So I've taken up enough time. Jupe, like I said, right of refusal. But for final thoughts and reactions.
I mean, I share your frustration and deep disdain. And I did not know that housing was one of the things, but I think it's ridiculous. I think the greatest of them is the servant. And I think in many ways we lost that, I was talking to a friend of mine today and I said, I miss leaders and teachers that were like all about just doing what was right for kids. Like, yes, were there things that we could have changed, in the past to make teaching more sustainable? Sure. Right. But like teachers that would come early, stay late, work over the weekend if they had to, just to make sure that Johnny had access to whatever so that he could be the best he could be, you know? And so when I hear these kinds of, you know, arguments and the strikes for these kinds of reasons, it's not like I thought you were going to say something about like maybe inhumane practices, you know, maybe somebody's getting beat, you know, so they don't have running water. They don't got bathrooms in the school building, right? The conditions are just terrible, you know? And then I probably would feel different, but to hear that it's because you're entitled and you feel that you should, you know, have access to more than you need to be a good teacher. And to your point, right, the crux of the work that really supports our students, such as lesson planning, you know, consistently being prepared, right? We don't know if that you're doing that because I don't know if Oakland is doing well overall in terms of data. I don't think so. Like many of these systems that are absorbing all this money to give less than mediocre results. And then we have a bunch of teachers and leaders walking around extremely entitled, wanting more and more and more, and not even producing the bare minimum, which is a solid, high quality. That's the bare minimum. A high quality education is the bare minimum, right? And that our children are not even getting that. So it's disheartening. And I do think that there should be more conversation about what it looks like for the main constituent or the children and families to be able to turn this around and say, we're not going to stand for this. Right? Put up a show.
Yeah. Omar.
Yeah, we've
dude, organizing is difficult. Organizing is really difficult, man. But if you make a case to kids about what the consequences are, help them understand why, help them understand like this has to be a highly organized endeavor. And like, granted, like it's difficult because I guarantee you, like the people that start organizing are going to be gotten after, right? Like, are you inciting a riot? Are you inciting something? God knows what's going to happen because when you come after power, as you always say, Doc, like power strikes back.
Absolutely.
And I get the feeling here that it would have to be a very well-organized, I would arguably say somewhat clandestine situation because they're going to have to pull it off without having all the higher-ups know about it. But I think it would actually make global headlines. And I think it would be a very interesting tale to tell because I think Oakland and San Francisco, if they pulled it off, would be ground level. This would happen across the entirety of the country. And frankly, I'm not one for inciting discord, but as a founding father often said, when institutions no longer serve the better interests of the people, it is inherent upon the people to revolutionize themselves and revolt. That was a white dude named Thomas Jefferson who said that shit. Yeah. Ironic given his familial situation, but apropos to this.
Yeah, man.
And that's all I got to say about it, man. Like, do it.
I'm dropping this in the private chat just so you can see. This isn't from this year, but this is where they took their rocks from. I'm going to pull it up. These people asked for $200 rent. District superintendent is landlord. Affordable teacher housing is on the rise. So they wanted, there was help. There was mental health expansion. Listen, man, we have a $96 million deficit. I don't listen. David, it's your final thoughts, brother. I'm sorry. I was just trying to get the article up.
I mean, I think we didn't get quite to the Oakland part of this conversation outside of the striking, but I think it's all connected. So in Oakland, California, the school district, they're currently facing $100 million gap that they need to close by next year. $100 million, right? Declining enrollment. And I think, I'll say it, in California, we have totally lost the, our eyes are no longer on the prize of academic accountability. Like we don't really have any mechanisms in California to, measure our public schools and potentially organize them in a way we'd say like these schools need support, these ones don't. Public schools kind of in California, they kind of live in what do you call it, perpetuity, right? Forever. public district schools, not charter schools. And so in Oakland, California, they've currently identified like $20 million in cuts. Okay. They still need to find 80 more. And the way that they propose to do this $20 million cut is by laying off 70% of their central office staff and using AI to perform those functions.
Wow. Are
right?
You serious?
I'm being very serious, dude. And this is a district that has like failed to do so many things, mainly like educate kids. And now they think they have some like breakthrough model to downsize a central office of a district that serves 20 or 30,000 kids by using AI. Like those tools don't quite yet exist. And so I don't know what they're thinking. They're not thinking. The solution is you have to close schools. You don't have enough kids. We've been talking about this for 20 years, Charles. You know, you've got these schools that are like a quarter, 30% filled. That's where you have to go. That's where you're going to do it. And until they do that, not much is going to change. But that's all happening at the same time that we're seeing the teacher unions demand like more money, more compensation. And I'm like, they're going to bankrupt the state of California, you know?
Oh, and it's worse in Chicago because the pensions in Chicago are tied, right? Like, so in places like California or the Bay, it's Oakland, the teachers are separate from like other services. Chicago is, that pension is the firefighter's pension, is the police, like, so it starts to push in, which is why they've recently changed structure. But
and I'm not saying that they don't. I mean, they deserve. You know, everybody deserves a good pension, especially if you're like a public employee. But I think the conversation has just gotten so ridiculous, and it's gotten so far removed from like how are children benefiting from any of this. Right?
I was going to ask where that's in the negotiation. You know what I would also say? I would say if I'm the other side, I'll say, you know what, y'all got us in the vice and y'all about to strike. You know what, we'll give in. But here's our caveat. I want to tie it to like growth across the board. Oh, we can't do that? We can't do no? Why can't we do that? None of these demands, right? And I don't want to mess up the demands. Listen, y'all, as we close out, I want everybody to be able to have a place to live, to be able to have some money in their pocket. You should be able to live if you're a teacher. Any job that requires you to have a degree, you definitely should. Any job, period, but especially ones that have degrees attached to them, advanced degrees, you should be able to live and make livable wages. But in a city that is killing itself with homelessness, that even the rich neighborhoods are seeing shanty towns and things like that come up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, we're going to prioritize these teachers over these kids. And listen, I would never, everybody's humanity, I want to respect, man, and acknowledge. But if there's two factions, and one of these factions are people with advanced degrees versus children in poor families, it's just not a difficult decision for me. It's just not a difficult decision. And I'm not mad that you asking for what you asking for, but it's every year. Like, it's just every year. But as soon as we ask about anything academically, as soon as we ask about anything to deliver on this stuff, as soon as we ask, yo, why can only 2 out of 10 kids read? We always get to blame some faceless, nameless thing. But we always find faces to congratulate when people do well. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that wild how that works? These people playing in your face. And because people don't value Black kids and brown kids and poor kids' education, and because cities like Oakland and San Francisco need a pauper class, they need a pauper class. You need it. That's why this is an issue. Because if any of this stuff happened at one of them little rich schools, one of them little private schools, it's not an issue anymore. It's no longer an issue. And I want these public schools to be great, but I'm telling you, with these numbers and this stuff, I think many of you are better off with homeschooling pods, with figuring something out, because you can't do much worse than what we're seeing. I visit hundreds of classrooms every year where I see 5 kids working and 20 kids running amok, and teachers afraid to stop them from running amok in Oakland. I live in Chicago where every school I go visit, you can only wear clear backpacks. But we got to get y'all housing. Why can they only wear clear backpacks, Dr. Cole? Why can they only wear clear backpacks, David? Hey, what, Jubilee? Why can they only wear clear backpacks? Because people getting shot. So this has been another episode of the South Star Classroom. I hope you've enjoyed what you've heard today. All these things don't have answers, and we see the humanity in everybody, but it's for people that do this stuff. And we're not talking about this as just a spectator. I've been in rooms with people that negotiate these contracts. I've heard how they talk about Black parents not caring about their kids' education. Well, why would you change it to be at the time that they can come? You know those parents don't come. I've heard that. I've heard it. Well, you send your kids to private school and well, my kid cares about education very differently, and our family, we care about education. I don't know if these other kids' families care about education like that. The fuck you just say to me? This is what parents and students on my way out should negotiate. Ask for the negotiations from both sides to be transparent and happen in the open air, and then see what they really think about you. That's David. That's Jubilee. That's Omar. I'm Charles. We will see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat station. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. We lost a lot of people. So go hug somebody you love because life is precious. And we'll see you all next time. Peace and God bless.
There you go.